Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Welcome back to the Cory Lee Show. Hey guys, today we got, you know what, I got an exciting guest, but Tanny, outside of Logan Ayers, you have probably been on our podcast more than anybody else. So I think that says a lot about you, brother. I think that says a lot about you, the value you add. And so for those that don't know Tanny and I met several years ago. I worked for Tanny at a physical therapy clinic and just became good friends. And then when we opened up our practice, he was a good mentor of mine, and we do some coaching together. And he has a new venture that he is in now, helping. I'll let you tell more about that. But basically, you partner physical therapy practices with those who are looking to buy physical therapy practices. And so, anyway, welcome back to the Cory Lee Show, Tanny.
Love it, buddy. Man, I've been waiting to get back on here because you've gotten so booked lately. I was like, yeah, I got to get back on Cory's podcast. But yeah, it's fun. These little forks in the road and life changes that life throws our way. I'm just glad to be here, man. Just glad to share what I can.
Yeah. Well, so you're in this new venture where you're kind of partnering, physical therapy practices with people who are looking to buy physical therapy practices. And so kind of talk to us about that. And I know I was telling you a little bit before, is like a lot of people who listen to our podcast, they're either entrepreneurs, small business owners, they're in the leadership lane, whether in ministry or business, and don't really know. I didn't comprehend that when we had our practice that I had a true asset. I had a real asset whenever I had a business. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't look at the end goal there, but anyway, tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Well, yes, most of the time as clinicians, we are kind of in the weeds, and yeah, we're visionaries, but we're really visionaries for the practice and the employees and the patients. I know there's not very many practice owners that begin with the end in mind. That's a Stephen Covey quote book piece, right? But I didn't think, what's this going to look like in 15 years when I get ready to sell it, or 10 years, right? So my story, of course, I'm a PT, had my own practice in Mississippi for quite a while. We had some an opportunity to sell back in 2014 and sold multiples and EBITDA and all that stuff was not part of my Sunday school discussion at all, so most of the time people are just in a building mode. And so, it's a process where you have to pull out some clarity and pull out through some of the coaching that we do, asking questions to make people think about, what does this look like in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and really to have that thought even in your mind, what's this, what's going to happen in 10 years. So yeah, just, it's a process for sure.
Yeah. So curious what you're seeing. What are some of the practices? And I know we're talking physical therapy, but this really goes to any business owner. You've got a real asset on hand. Like when you go to sell, it's not like, how do you evaluate your business? How in the world do I know what my business is worth? And that's really what you're doing right now. And what are just some simple things that you guys look at when you're trying to evaluate a business?
Well, I'm with Martin Healthcare Advisors. I am director of business development for them. Martin Healthcare, Mr. Paul Martin's been around for 25 years and does helps merger acquisitions all over the U.S. They do 30, 40, sometimes 50 deals a year. And we look at someone's practice from the outside in, because just like I was saying earlier, when you're a clinician and you're in the practice, you're in the box looking out, right? And so if you're an acquirer, somebody looking to buy practices in, let's say, Louisiana, and you're looking into the practice at Louisiana. So that's in Louisiana. That's what we do is we help you look at your practice from the outside in. And so we do an assessment, and buyers like to see an organized practice. They like to see a practice that's, of course, been open for a while, has good culture, lots of referral, lots of different physician referrals coming in, insurance diversity, maybe a couple locations. One location's fine. It just depends on if it's in an area that the buyer is looking to move into, right? So you kind of have, you got financial value, and then you have insurance risk, physician risk, and then location attractiveness. Honestly, that's kind of the big four there of what we're looking at and trying to explain that to the owner, because that's what a buyer is going to be looking at. Does that make sense at
Oh
all?
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, you speaking my language in the physical therapy lane. I'm just thinking about other
Yeah,
businesses as they're trying to evaluate their business. What I heard you say is history, some stability and culture, and then that diversity. You started talking about how many referral partners and how many insurance providers you have in there. If you're
sure.
not in the healthcare space, that would be it would be like if you've got one major product and only one major buyer, you don't have a lot of diversity there. And so if that one buyer decides to stop, you don't have a whole lot of a business there. And so there's a lot of risk. And so you're looking at risk, perceived risk, I'm assuming is what you're looking at too.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
That.
yep. That's it.
And so it is interesting, Tanny, when we sold our practice, I didn't know, man, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. And it reminds me, as I was thinking about it before me and you got on here, I was thinking about Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. On the left side, he talks about you have an E, or an employee. That's somebody who works for a business. You have an S, that's somebody who owns a job. Basically, you're working in the business and you're there, and the business requires you to be there. Somebody that on the other side with a B, who actually owns a business, they have a system and a process that doesn't necessarily require your physical presence to be there. What I found when we owned our practice was I actually was self-employed. I owned a job, and that job required me. And what happened when we went to sell, it actually decreased the value of our business because it required me. And I mean, I'm assuming you guys are looking at that as well.
Yeah, it does make a difference in the. It's another risk factor for the buyer, but yeah, it doesn't matter if you're running a lemonade stand or car wash business or physical therapy practice. The owner typically anchors themselves in as that's the person. People see that person at the hardware store or church or wherever. Oh, that's the PT guy. Oh, that's the car wash guy. And so there's a lot of value in being that person for the practice.
Yeah.
And if and there's a number of course, I'm speaking in PT language, but there's a number of people that say, do I have to stay on once I sell for a year or two or three? It is highly likely that the buyer would rather you stay on, right? Because you've been running it's like a captain of a ship, right? If you buy a boat and the captain leaves and you're like, I don't really know how to run this thing very well. I mean, most of them do, but they don't want to hire. They want to go in and hire a whole bunch of people. They love kind of coming in quietly, almost like a turnkey situation. The owner can stay on for a couple of years, keep everything running smoothly, train someone up when it's time to, after year two or year three, when it's time for them to leave, that new person just kind of takes over, and the original owner kind of steps out, and there's less waves happening in the, less ripples in the water. So that's kind of how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of part of our agreement as well that
Yeah.
we would stay on.
Yeah.
Um, and so
Exactly.
here's a question I got for you, Tanny. And so, people were like, well, I don't know, how do I know what my thing is worth? Like, I made, $1 million in sales. Is my business worth $1 million? Or like I've got my accountant says I've got $250,000 in net revenue. Like, is my business $250,000? Like, what can I
Yeah.
expect? Like, how do you even figure that out?
Well, most of the time, honestly, all the time in our space, it's based off EBITDA. Kind of sounds like a sneeze,
Bless you.
doesn't
What'd you say?
it? Yeah, it sounds like a sneeze. That's actually really important. And that is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Now, I'm not a financial guru or CPA. We've got consultants on the team that are significant CPA, financial minded folks. That's what they do. They love that. But in simple terms, EBITDA is a way to measure how much your business is making from its regular activities, the number of widgets sold, the number of patients treated, without worrying about things like paying back loans, taxes, or if your equipment is depreciating. Okay. Very similar. Let's say you own a lemonade stand and you sell lemonade, you pay for lemons and sugar, right? And you sell X amount of glasses of lemonade and you have some money left over. That's basically EBITDA, right? It's how much you're earning from just whatever you're selling.
Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Cory Lee Show. Y'all, I am on a mission to build leaders and to transform culture. So if you're looking for a speaker who speaks directly to the heart, a mentor to come alongside you and your team, or if you're in a position where you're looking for a personal coach who embraces where you are and also believes in who you could become, then I would be honored to walk this path with you. Simply reach out to me on my email at Cory@CoryLeeLeadership.com. Look, let's make your vision a reality. Contact me and together we'll navigate the path from aspiration to achievement. Your transformation, it starts now.
So the EBITDA is your base number. This is just the financial valuation of the practice, right? And so the EBITDA, once you come up with your EBITDA with your CPA or our accounting guys, there's a multiple paid on that EBITDA. Okay. We've seen some 2.5s, 3s out there from practices that are not organized. They have maybe a lot of patients coming in from one physician practice, and that's a higher risk. And maybe they've had a lot of turnover. They don't have a great culture there, right? And we've seen some multiples way up in the 7.5s, 8s, 9s for clinics that are great culture, low turnover, staff have been there for years, great insurance diversity, great physician diversity, good EBITDA, strong numbers, and growth trajectory. So honestly, it's based off that EBITDA number. There's a multiple paid off of that based on how clean that Ford F-150 is, right? So
I like it.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in each industry kind of has their own little multiples, but
They do.
for simple math, for what you're saying, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, all the stuff, right? Like what you truly get from selling, let's say that's 250,000 and the multiple you get is 4. You could expect to sell your business for $1 million.
$1 million.
That's kind of what you're
That's
saying.
what we shoot for. Yep. Same thing for a house. If you value a house in the market, we don't really advertise the house like on any kind of a Zillow platform or anything for physical therapy. We have a high level of respect from about 60 different acquirers throughout the US. So we go directly to them. So in a house situation, it'd be like if I was going to come sell your house in the Tupelo area and I knew 6 buyers that wanted to move there, I'd go directly to them and say, hey, I've got a house. It's in Tupelo area. I think it's worth $950,000. And then hopefully we get some bids from these guys. Say, oh, I like that. I'm going to give you $975 for that one. And make the connection between you guys. We help the negotiation. We help the process go smoothly and hopefully smoothly, and work through that transition, trying to create as few ripples as we can for the Tupelo community and adding on to the buyer. Because these buyers are always, you have to grow. even
Mhm.
as a single PT clinic, if you saw 5,000 patients last year, you need to see 5,500 or 6,000 this year because insurance is typically steadily headed down each year, every 2 years or so. So you have to keep growing just to keep your head above water. And so these acquirers know that if they've got 11 locations or 40 or 300, next year they need, 330 or 340 to keep that growth happening. So there's always people looking to buy. And so that's the relationships that we have and the respect I believe that we've earned, Martin Healthcare has earned in the community. So long-winded way to say the EBITDA is a starting point
I
for
like
that
it, man.
process.
Well, it kind of, I'm just saying, if I'm a business owner, I'm listening in, I have no idea. I've never looked at it. That kind of gives
Yeah.
me a little bit of clarity. Let me ask you
Yeah.
this, Danny. Let's say I am a practice owner, or, you can put yourself in this shoes if you're a different business owner. But let's say, man, I'm starting to get burned out. And I come up with a 3-year game plan of like, man, I think in 3 years, I want to move on. What would you say to that practice owner, that business owner is like, what do you start doing now? What are some simple things that you can start to clean up? You mentioned some things like clean up the practice and make that
Yeah.
F-150 look good, right? How do I start to clean this thing up to make it look good to buyers?
So you want your books streamlined. There's not, I mean, I did not. I don't know if you were heavily involved in your with your CPA and your billing office, but a lot of the practices I talked to, I'm like, how much AR do you have? I'm like, I don't know, 100 grand, and they look and it's like 300,
Yeah.
and say, well, what's your units per visit? What are you running right now? Oh shoot, I don't know. I have to go look. Knowing your practice from the financial, because you're the CEO. If you're the owner, you're the CEO of the practice. Adam Robin talks about that a lot. That we coach with Adam a good bit too. But you're the CEO of the practice, so you need to know what your how your finances look, and that's what I mean by streamlining finances. Like if somebody were to call and say, "Hey, can I have your finances by lunch today?" You should be able to deliver that. It's 9:20 here in Nashville, so you should be able to deliver that. And if you can't, you need to streamline that so where you can access that stuff a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
You'll know culture is a little harder to develop quickly, but get your finances streamlined. Hopefully, your culture's in place, um, and know your insurance. If I say, hey, what percentage are you guys commercial insurance, right, or federal insurance? You should know those things because, again, it's like a turnkey situation. The acquirers want something that's going to be kind of turnkey for them. Like, yep, got that for you. Yep, got that for you. I know exactly what this is. Are you guys declining? Or are you growing? Well, we've been growing the last 5 months or 6 months. So knowing your practice inside and out is really important, and that's sometimes people don't even know how to begin to do that. And so I love brainstorming. I love helping people gain clarity on where's my first step, what do I need to do. And so I can definitely help with that if anybody wanted to reach out and just brainstorm after this. But that's about it.
Yeah. Do you feel like most small business owners know their numbers like that?
No, I don't. Not from the phone calls I get. Now I could be
Yeah.
wrong. If you're listening out there and your numbers, congrats. You're in that top 10% of people
Yeah.
that are actually paying attention to it. So no,
Yeah.
most of them do not.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
They may have an okay idea,
Yeah.
but not these big acquirers want some specifics.
Yeah.
So
You and we've got some friends, actually Logan and Chris. Logan's been on here a few times. What they like looking for small business owners who have been doing it for a little bit, because small business owners are great at the task, kind of like what you're talking about. The practice owners, they're good at doing the skill and not so much knowing about the business. And so for them, they see an opportunity there where they could add value by coming in and streamlining the metrics and those kind of things. And
yeah,
so they look for those kind of things. So,
yeah. Well, we offer a consulting package that we can walk through every facet, every nut and bolt of the clinic, all the KPIs, all the insurance contracts, all the things. We we do have a consulting package that you can buy. There is what we call prep, like sale prep. So if you say, I want to sell in 3 years and I'm getting 15 miles to the gallon in my clinic, I want to make it a lot more efficient, which ups your multiple, right? If your car gets better gas mileage, if your clinic is more efficient, we help tighten and tune up that clinic over. It may take 6 months, it may take a year, but we do that, try to get you the highest multiples possible, take you from, $250,000 EBITDA to a 500 or 600. And even if you stayed at the same multiple, you go from $1 million, at $250,000 EBITDA of 4 multiple, $1 million. If you go 600K on your EBITDA at a 4 multiple, that's $2.4 million. So it's a huge difference. And that's kind of where we really have our anchors in with our consulting team, and they just know every aspect of that Ford F-150. Yeah. They can get you 30 to 40 miles, 50 miles to the gallon if you need to. So
that's good stuff, Tanny.
Sometimes it takes a little time to get there, but that's okay. It's always worth the destination.
That's good stuff. Well, I know you and I, we had just a little bit of time together today. Hey, for somebody who wanted to reach out to you and say, man, I think I may be interested in finding out more about that. Maybe I'm a practice owner. I want to know about that or whatever. How would somebody reach out to you, Tanny?
Man, I love LinkedIn. There's not a whole lot of Tanny Crawfords, Tanny. You wouldn't think there was more than one, but there's more than one Tannys out there. But I'm on LinkedIn. Kind of got my blue jacket on, not today, but also my email is Tanny at nope. My email is T Crawford, TCRAWFORD at martinhealthcareadvisors.com. Again, my email is T Crawford at martinhealthcareadvisors.com, and they can email me from there. LinkedIn, I get a decent amount of DMs, so I can get back to them pretty quickly. And they can get to me there best way.
Awesome. Well, Tanny, I appreciate you, man. Anything else you want to add to share? Practice?
No, I was excited to get on here today. Hope we've added some value to some folks. There's just, a lot of people, they just don't understand what it takes. A lot of people don't have the clarity. Some of the phone calls I get are, hey, I do want to retire. I don't want to do this forever, but can I retire this year, or is it going to be 3 years from now? And so, again, you could just reach out. I love having the conversations and just trying to pull out the answers, because the clinic owners or the business owners, they have the answers themselves. And so if we can ask questions that pull out those answers, if you want to retire in 2030, probably a good idea to sell in 2027. Work 3 years and then step out at the end of that process. So I hope that statement right there helps a lot of practice owners, because that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. Well, Tanny, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you for adding value, and you're doing a lot to help not only practice owners, but business owners, and just appreciate you and all you've done for me. And so, hey, make sure you reach out to Tanny. He is definitely active on LinkedIn, and you can reach out to him at T Crawford at martinhealthcareadvisors.com. We'll have that in the show notes and those kind of things. And so thank you guys for taking a listen. Hope it's added value to you. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes of the Cory Lee Show. We hope you guys have an awesome day, and God bless. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.